Good evening. I'm Dr. Fred Rouse, the Real Money Doctor, and it's currently Wednesday, the 24th of June, and just a couple minutes after 7 o'clock. My apologies, I'm running a little late today. I want to do today's daily recap of events that affect the way you get, protect, and enjoy your money, your life, and your retirement. Well, the question for today is, will there be a bigger and better stimulus thing soon? We'll get to that in just a few minutes. For now, as we've been doing since early March, or mid-March actually, I want to touch base on the number of current COVID cases. Right now in the U.S., there are currently 2,369,000 confirmed cases of COVID. That's another 31,000, almost 31.5 thousand new cases since yesterday this time. The deaths right now, 121,846. That's another 700 and almost 60 people that have died since yesterday at this time. New York State still has the number one count in cases, total cases right now, at 389,666. They picked up another 500 and almost 590 cases, not quite 590 cases since yesterday. Their death rate is right now down, currently at 31,257. So they had another 25 people that died in New York State since yesterday when we spoke last. Not a thrilling thing for those families and co-workers, obviously. Now, interesting things that happened this week in that states in the South and the West are picking things up and their case count. Again, New York got hit the hardest because of the density of their population and the number of people coming into the city and the state. Again, China was shut down originally, and then it took almost a month before they shut down travel from the European Union. And in that time, a lot of people got infected, and New York State and New York City had a hell of a time trying to get this under control. Had a hell of a time. They pretty much got things under control at this point in time. And then everybody acknowledged that, oh yeah, the wave is going to be coming. Okay, it hits these states first and you're going to peak somewhere down the line. Well, that somewhere down the line is right around now for some of these southern states and western states and midwestern states. California this week took the second number highest cases right now at 193,000 cases. And again, they've picked up almost 6,000 cases since yesterday. It was 7,000 cases the day before. Okay, New Jersey dropped to the number 3 spot, followed by Illinois. Texas moved up to number 5 this week. Florida just moved up today to number 6. Massachusetts is at number 7. Pennsylvania's dropped down to number 8 because of those other changes. Georgia, okay, has moved up from the number 10 spot earlier this week to number 9 right now. And Michigan has dropped down to the number 10 spot. Again, it was just a matter of time. People didn't want to hear it. And just because you don't want to hear something doesn't mean it's not necessarily true. And they projected early on that different states were going to peak at different periods of time. Those states are peaking now with no help, absolutely no help from the reopening that they did, because they felt that they were just fine. They had a low case count and they thought, well, the lockdown doesn't really apply to us. Surprise, it does apply. Things are happening. Now, the deaths are growing. Okay, so it's not the rates of infection, it's also the deaths and the hospitalizations that are picking up in these southern and western states that they thought they were basically untouched. And they did that reopening. And now they're paying for it. Even the governors, okay, who were, resisting masks, okay. Oh no, if you mandate masks, we're going to cut your funding. The governors are telling the cities that. The cities that. Well, now the governors are starting to reconsider. What a surprise. Okay, as their numbers are starting to jump exponentially, not incrementally, exponentially. Now, the chances for a vaccine for widespread use this year are pretty much zero. They really are, despite what the president's got the claims. Um, Respectable doctors, not fringe characters, but respectable doctors in the field, okay, acknowledge that they'll probably have something next year. And even then, they don't know how long the immunity is going to last for with the vaccine. And they will be improving this as things happen. Now, in a major turn that I mentioned might happen yesterday, it seemed official today. Visitors from coronavirus hotspots will have to quarantine for 14 days if they set foot in New York, New Jersey, or Connecticut. The governors of those northeastern states made that announcement today. You know, if you're coming from Alabama, Arkansas, Florida, North Carolina, South Carolina, Washington State, Utah, or Texas, all those states have high infection rates. And this is really to slow down, okay, because Governor Cuomo came up with this and he got the other states on board. And the residents of those states now are not, okay, being barred from coming into New York or Connecticut or New Jersey. But if they do, okay, Wednesday's action is largely advisory. They can't stop anybody coming in. But we've taken our people through hell and back, said New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy, when he told reporters via remote feed in a briefing hosted by Governor Cuomo in Albany. The virus is risky enough on its own in terms of potential flare-up, okay? They're concerned. Now, those 9 states from the South and Midwest are now on a quarantine list based on a rolling 7-day averages of infections, according to Governor Cuomo. Now, the states themselves can change infection rates and the changes. And they're going to be doing a daily update. And Governor Cuomo's got no problem with that. Again, it's, according to him, it's just common sense, and it's in the spirit of community. If you're in a place that has a high infection rate, we understand that, and we're here to help you in any way we can. Now, earlier on Wednesday, Governor Cuomo had hinted about the possibility of a quarantine, and I mentioned that yesterday, that it might be coming. Well, we have to make sure that other states don't infect us now. And he said that on the Today Show. We're now really afraid that we have a low infection rate right now, and people get on a plane and they come to New York, and I have people call me all day long saying that they're worried about where they are. They want to come to New York. And that's great, but we don't want them to bring the infection here with them. So, New York State, New York City in particular, were major hotspots of the virus back in March and in April. But after weeks of business shutdown, okay, the infection and the death rates have been dramatically lowered. Now, Governor Cuomo lashed out at the states that have been more aggressively opening and restarting their businesses. Those states that had this, okay, they were blind to this. Okay, let's do whatever we want to do, and we'll reopen immediately. And now they have a serious problem. It's what Cuomo said on the Today Show. Now, anyone who thinks that we could have opened sooner, look at Florida, look at Arizona, look at Texas, look at the other 23 states that are opening up right now, and it shows that we were smart and right. That's what Cuomo had to say. Now, it's interesting, okay? Made the news, something totally different. You don't see it every day. But I noticed this, and I just want to mention this because it's really, really odd. It's really odd. I'm 60 plus right now. It's the first time I've ever heard anything like this ever happening. Okay. The George Washington University Law School, okay, released a statement yesterday calling for Attorney General William Barr to resign, for Congress to actually censure him, and for the Justice Department, their Inspector General, to actually investigate him. Now, Barr received his Juris Doctorate from the law school back in 1977. He served on its board of advisors for a while and has previously been honored by the school, However, now, okay, things are a little different. 80% of the active full-time faculty with voting privileges signed a letter, in addition to the 18 uh, emeritus professors, deans, and legal professionals. Okay. The signers included members of both major political parties and people who were not affiliated with any party at all. Now, the statement also endorses the recommendation of the other 2,500 people from the Justice Department, the alumni, both Republican and Democratic administrations, who called for Barr to actually resign, for Congress to censure him, and for the Inspector General to begin a formal inquiry into his conduct. The law school statements cite the following as instances of Barr's failure to uphold his constitutional oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States. Okay, it was really interesting. The signers assert that Barr deliberately misled Americans about the contents of the special counsel's report from Robert Mueller. He intervened in Roger Stone's sentencing. He interfered with the prosecution of Michael Flynn and violated civilians' rights, okay, their First Amendment rights, to assemble and protest at Lafayette Square on June 1. The letter states in part, "We feel a special obligation to speak out because of the long relationship Attorney General Barr has with our law school and our university. William Barr's actions as Attorney General since 2019 have undermined the rule of law, breached the constitutional norms, and have damaged the integrity and traditional independence of his office and that of the Department of Justice." Wow. What do you do when you have close to 3,000 attorneys pissed off at you and they start writing letters? That changes things considerably. Again, it's the first time I've ever seen anything like that. And again, I'm 60 plus actually. You can tell from the grades. So that's going to get interesting. Okay. They're coming out. Okay. They got the torches lit. Okay. They're coming up the walkway. Going to storm the castle here. However, on the lighter side, I did come across something that was totally unrelated, and I thought it was sort of interesting. I'd share it with you. Do you remember the Segway? Made its launch back in 2001. They had about a week or so of pre-show hype, and then it came out on Good Morning America. It was a scooter with the two wheels, okay, the self-balancing thing that promised to revolutionize personal transportation and was popular with city tour guides and some police officers for a while, and but not the public. It was actually on sale at one point in time last year, a year and a half ago. I saw one on sale at Sam's. Didn't get one, but they were there on the floor. It was interesting. Now, the Segway was invented by a U.S. engineer, Dean Kamen, and it debuted with much fanfare, but it really struggled to make a profit. Accidents didn't help with the Segway's popularity, and the company was bought by a Chinese rival, Ninebot, in 2015. Now, the factory in New Hampshire, it was a U.S. production factory, obviously, and the Segway made the personal transporter. It's going to officially end on July 15. They're shutting it down as of July 15. Now, announcing the news, Segway president Judy Kay said, within its first decade, Segway PT became a staple in its security and law enforcement, viewed as an effective and efficient personal vehicle. However, the vehicle's almost 2-decade-long history has also been subject to mockery and a high-profile collisions, as well as a tragic death. In 2003, then President George Bush took a tumble off a Segway at his parents' home in Kennebunkport, Maine. Okay, cute photo of that. The incident followed one by Vice President Cheney, okay, when he used a Segway to round around his office when his Achilles tendon was acting up for him. Now, the Segway also received, quite literally, a comedy vehicle in 2009 with the movie, what was it? Paul Bart. What was it called? Paul Bart, Mall Cop. Okay. It was absolutely hilarious if you go into that type of comedy. Now, he played a security guard who patrolled the shopping mall on a Segway. Now, back in 2015, after he celebrated his fourth consecutive 20-meter title, Jamaican sprinter Usain Bolt was knocked over by a cameraman on a Segway. No serious harm was done, but the legendary athlete, quickly got up and continued his victory lap. But in January this year, Segway's prototype wheelchair crashed during a demonstration at a Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas. The S-Pod, a self-balancing electric wheelchair, was being tested by a journalist at the time. The rider had accelerated, and the vehicle just, actually crashed into the wall. The Segway was also part of the center of a tragic incident when the self-made millionaire, owner of the company, died after falling off a cliff in the UK while riding one of his firm's motorized scooters. Jim Heselden crashed into River Wharf while using a Segway on his estate in West Yorkshire, just about 10 months after buying the firm in 2009. I occasionally see one of these things still used by mall security. That's when the malls were open pre-COVID. And it's always interesting. And you look at it and it brings sort of a smile to your face because you just remember the movies. But anyway, brings me to today's question. Okay. The question for the day: will there be a bigger and better stimulus thing coming soon? Well, with the president's poll numbers down, COVID case count is really rising in at least a dozen states, as well as, the economy just falling off the cliff and Main Street just hanging on. Prospects of further direct payments appear to have really increased, with President Donald Trump's indicating a willingness to support them. What these amounts would be, totally unclear at this point in time. Even though the Senate seems to be in no rush to add more money to the already out-of-control deficit and the national debt. Now, the CARES Act was the original one that gave the initial checks. They gave up to $1,200 to individuals and $2,400 to couples, $500 for each dependent kid, to assist people through the financial strains posed by COVID. The HEROES Act, which is in the works, has basically stalled in the Senate. It would have approved similar amounts to adults with payments for children at $1,200 per child, but capped at 3 dependents. Now, according to a poll of 1,000 American adults, Jackson Hewitt, the tax service, did a poll, and 36% believe a second payment should surpass the amount of the first one. Now, respondents who were surveyed online on June 10 were asked, if there is a second stimulus check, if there's a second payment, what amount would be necessary? Nearly a quarter, 24%, said twice the amount, while 12% said 3 times the amount. Those figures equate to basically 36% of the respondents, with more than a third indicating that they would want a higher payment. Another 41% said the same amount would be okay, while 24% said the check is really not necessary at all. Now, of those who received a stimulus check, those who actually got money, 32% said the money went to savings or retirement account. 25% said it was used to pay bills. 20% said that they used the money on essential items, such as groceries and medical supplies. Just 6% said they put it towards a fund purchase. So, Jackson Hewitt's chief tax officer told Newsweek, not many taxpayers are really taking extravagant trips or vacations or buying big televisions, as some may have assumed. They're spending the stimulus money on necessities. We're just saving it for the uncertain time that they're in right now. Now, desire for higher stimulus payments follows a previous polling, which indicated that Americans believe another round of such support is really necessary. Now, of the likely 1,000 voters surveyed from May 20 to May 26th, 76% said they feel it's really important that they personally receive another direct payment, while 52% said that they would spend a second payment on basic living costs. A second round of stimulus checks really depends on the contents of the COVID Relief Act, the bill that's really stalled right now in the Congress. It passed through the House, and they passed a $3 trillion package put together by the Democrats in the lower chamber, but it's really met some serious opposition with the Senate, okay, with the GOP there. They hold the majority, and they're in no really rush at all, okay, to pass another bill. They're trying to sit back and see what happens with the original money. Well, they've been really criticized, okay, for being, too wide-ranging, while they're trying to also call to pass the pause on the assets to assess the measures that what's been taken on already. And again, they're in no rush. They want to sit back and see what happened. The Democrats, in the meanwhile, have really been pushing for immediate action to be taken. The prospects of checks has been a point of contention among GOP lawmakers. As states reopen, the U.S. economies face financial ramifications of the lockdown measures, and the timing and the rising unemployment figures is one indicator of the struggles that workers and businesses nationwide still have. So what's all that really mean to you? The COVID cases are still rising, followed by the hospitalizations and deaths at a somewhat slower rate. If you're from a COVID hotspot and you want to visit New York, New Jersey, or Connecticut, you'll be in quarantine for 14 days. If you want to travel to a European Union country, you may not be allowed in. People are really beginning to seriously question the police use of force and blanket immunity. Americans are starting to really question monuments and flags of people that were on the losing side of a civil war. And the financial and racial inequality are being questioned like no time ever in the past. The stock market and Main Street are in two totally different places, and people are starting to notice it big time. Now, last year you were planning on retiring in a year or so, and that seems totally out the window at this point. And you may wonder why you're not just jumping up and down for joy right now. Okay. Do you think you might have some good reason? Possibly? What do you think? It's really easy, basically too easy, to get wrapped up in the events of the day and allow yourself to get whipped up into a frenzy, making you think that there's absolutely no way out and you're quickly going down the tubes. And it happens a lot to a lot of people. You wake up, you put the news on, and you feel terrible in 5 minutes. And your day is made from there. Now, do you really want to weigh all out of all that? Okay. Something that doesn't involve you murdering someone or committing suicide? It's really easier than you think. And it's something you actually can do. It's really basic. Once you do it, it'll lift the weight of the world off your shoulders and give you an amazingly clear path forward. Want to know what it is? Focus on your life goals. The one or two things that you want to accomplish in your life before you die. What are those one or two things? If they put you in the grave today, what would you want to have accomplished in your life? Focus on those two things. If your entire focus is just on those one or two things, you'll be totally surprised how quickly all the nonsense drops out. All the little petty things that consume you on a daily basis that have absolutely no effect on you achieving those long-term goals. All the things that aggravate you right now, they drop right out. You'd be surprised. Try it. Feel the calm that it brings to your life, okay, and your decisions, while keeping you focused on the things that actually matter to you. You'll be absolutely surprised. I'm Dr. Fred Rouse. I'm the Real Money Doctor. My only goal is to help you get, protect, and enjoy your money, your life, and your retirement. I appreciate spending some time with you today. I look forward to spending some time with you again tomorrow around 7 o'clock. I'll see what happens. I've got a tight schedule tomorrow, and I may not be able to make the show, but I'm going to see what I can do, see what I can move things around. But I appreciate spending time with you today. I'll be posting this video later on tomorrow morning, most likely. Before I get started, I've got some meetings tomorrow. And like and share it there. Like and share it on Facebook right now. Throw your comments in there. I appreciate that. And I'll look forward to seeing you tomorrow around 7 o'clock. Thank you.